We've gotten a lot of comments about people wanting to see more of our face, but I kind of abhor the idea of putting my face on screen more because I really don't like watching other people vlog. It seems to result in this egocentric caricature of a person that is entirely unattractive to me and runs against the grain of everything that we stand for and everything that we're trying to do. So I thought we would make this very informal video, setting the precedent for a turn of events, something new to come.
Is that unedited, raw, telling them how you feel about stuff like this? Is it the turn of events?
Yeah, if you guys watch this one, there won't be any clipping this time. Which page is happy for?
Editing is the worst.
Editing is the worst.
You'll spend hours editing a video that you took 15 minutes to record.
So one of the things that we've set out to do on this journey is create a really large funnel to scoop up as many people to funnel them toward meaningful information, right? So we have adventure content and we have host posts, the people that we meet along the way, the food that we eat. All of that is stuff that I'm rather indifferent to. I largely don't care about it. I don't like doing it. That is probably the most work that I feel like we have to put into the journey. Now it is in some ways more arduous work to craft meaningful long form content that's well edited and thoughtful, but it feels purposeful and important.
It's unfortunate because it feels like you have to create some amount of less meaningful content just to get people interested. People care about the adventure and the feel good stories. But that doesn't matter if it doesn't impact you. We're not here to tell you happy stories.
Yeah, there's something that happens with the happy stories. Our intention is to build this sort of data set to showcase that there's good reason to have a good perspective. And if you look back at all of these friendships we've made, it's evidence to the fact that not only is there good reason to have a good perspective, but there's a means of integrating with people that we're not really aware of, that we're often not exercising or we're not practicing in our typical day-to-day life. I don't know that the point's sinking in exactly. I think a lot of people just are, oh, look, there's goodness in the world. Everything that we do is more nuanced than that. Our approach it's not this simple thing. There are other people that we've seen, and they have these slogans that just, I mean, that's really all their message is. There doesn't seem to be any more substance resting beneath the simple slogan.
You can't change people's lives with pretty quotes.
Yeah. So our slogan was really hard to come by, but we've kind of, as opposed to the way it's typically engineered, we've struggled to come up with a simple way to encapsulate this huge idea that we're working with. We've got an upcoming post that will be exactly about that, but it's on the back of our shirts. Change the inside, change the outside. It's simple enough to say, but it's there is just so much to that, isn't there?
Yeah. That's the shortest version. I'd say the second shortest version is change yourself to change the world around you, or change your way of thinking and your perspective to change your own outward world.
But our intention with this whole venture is to not just give you a nice, pretty little slogan that you can latch onto and carry with you everywhere. I mean, ideally, we'll give you certain thought structures, simple little things that you can grab hold of, like the obstacle is the way, or change the inside, change the outside, that will be an easy thing to turn to when the time comes or when the time is necessary. But ideally, we're going to use our platform as a means of conveying really complex and nuanced information to the layperson. It's not enough to just have a simple little slogan. It's not enough to be this caricature of a person and, tell everyone that, we're just going to be happy, or you keep your mind on the positive things. The world is really a good place. Nothing is ever that simple. It just isn't that way.
We see a lot of good and a lot of bad.
Yeah.
But the important thing that we're trying to share is that your perspective and the way you interact with people makes all the difference of your experience in the world, and all we can do to impact the world is through our own interactions. What's the point of hearing all the good stories? It's hopefully to show you how to interact better in your life and spread goodness yourself.
But part of the reason that we're shooting this video right here is because we're just getting bogged down by trying to, make our approach as palatable as possible to the greatest number of people as possible. I mean, it can drive a person crazy if you're really just trying to do the right thing, if you're trying to, yeah, I mean, it's Puppy. It's
yeah,
Puppy.
It's Puppy feature. Everyone has to see more Puppy. Here he is. Whenever you say, hey, where's Jack? He's not in that photo. He's usually like right here.
Yeah. But we really want to withdraw from catering. It's not so much that we've been really catering, but we have been very...
To a degree.
Been very professional, trying to remain as positive as possible. But of course, I mean, we're human beings. Like,
the walk's really hard.
It's really hard. It's incredibly hard. But what I wasn't expecting is that the social aspect is the hardest part of it. It's not even... It's social media and the socializing. I mean, the physical pain feels like nothing compared to trying to find a calm psychological space to, work within the diversity of people and talk to so many thousands of people at the same time, and talk to sometimes 150 people a day, and while you're trying to find camping, and while you're trying to create meaningful content, while you're editing videos, and while you're responding to your future potential host,
and while you're trying to walk a puppy around the country.
And then somebody hops on there and they go, a bunch of freeloaders, like...
Man, this is the hardest lifestyle I could have conjured up if I were to think, what is the hardest way I could live my life? It's pretty up there.
So the very least that we can do is we're just going to subtract all of the catering from it, and ideally, thereby enabling a more tranquil psychological space for ourselves, so that we're not living against our ethical imperatives.
Exactly what we're talking to people about.
Yeah.
It almost feels ironic.
Doesn't it, though?
Talking to people about how they can have a more tranquil mind while we're living such a busy, fast-paced, constantly changing life. No time to read and meditate and do all the things that I know are the healthiest things I could do for myself mentally.
The interesting and similarly ironic thing about it is that during our first 6 months of the walk, when we were definitely living more like hobos and we weren't producing lots of information to feed other people, and it was all kind of just, it was
an adventure.
Well, it was a bit of an adventure. It was also, philosophy and mindfulness were the backbone to what we were doing, but it was for ourselves rather than it being for other people. And because of that, we were able to attain much better states of consciousness. And now that there's so much more stimulation and there's so many more working parts, it's hard to get back to. And it's funny because it feels like we've retained all of those lessons, but I don't know that we're always living in that same psychological space.
It doesn't just matter to know the important lessons that can help you be more content. You have to constantly practice. You'll never just be tranquil-minded forever once you learn all the right lessons. I don't think you can be perfectly enlightened in that way.
Yeah. And so, with this video, hopefully it will maybe cause me to pull away a little bit from my utter disdain for talking to the camera.
You just gotta talk at it over and over until it stops feeling weird. Like I mentioned in my video I just posted.
Well, if you guys can't tell, the thing that I would really ideally like to do, because I don't feel that extemporaneously speaking is the most efficient means of conveying the most complex ideas, I want to narrate over videos to, out of that writing, so that I can give concise, well-crafted information rather than just, stumbling over my words, as I so often do when I go to try to shoot a video like this, and then have to cut out all of the empty, vacant space in between. Cut out the big words that I use that Paige later says,
No,
what'd you say that for?
Taught me that one when we said our vows extemporaneously.
I remember that, actually. It's funny.
Yeah, which means, I don't know if that's the right definition, but spontaneously, without script.
Yeah, it's off the cuff speech, basically.
Like this video, off the cuff. We won't even talk about what we're about to say.
But, that also will hopefully be better for those people who want to see our face, that want to see us talk to them as real people. I mean, if you're not into that, if you're not into the philosophical insights and you don't want that, you don't want to read the long form posts that we create and spend, 2 hours in the morning making ourselves late to the walk to craft, then this will be here. And this is really easy to make, if I can just get over myself.
Get over not editing it.
Yes, and get over not editing it. And there's of course some value to be had in it, because Paige and I are living with these things in mind. And I mean, this is what sits at the forefront of our minds all day. How do we function better as people, individually, but also within society? How is it that we can integrate with people that we feel a disconnect with, and still get along with them? How do we generate the love for those people? I mean, there are times when things are said publicly to us that it's hard not to feel a hatred for the world, or it's hard not to feel a hatred for that person. But we've also been at different places in our life and in different places within our own consciousness in the past where it's a lot easier to find love in those moments than it might be at a moment right now where we might be feeling more neurotic or a little bit more anxious or overwhelmed by what's going on.
Yeah.
The walk is only going to, get busier and busier as time goes on, and it's going to get more intense, especially as we work our way into the more populated areas of California and, well, Washington and Oregon, of course, too. We'll be hitting Missoula soon. And I think that the best thing that we can do is to just be as real with everybody as we possibly can. Hopefully that inspires some people.
I think they can learn a lot from just this kind of talk, what we're talking about right now, even if it's not the most technical or, I think this kind of content where we're just being raw and relatable can help alongside the meaningful, more detailed, how to train perspective content.
Yeah.
I think the two will balance each other well.
And you might notice something else. I'm not really much of a smiler. If you watch me in our news interviews, I work hard to force a smile out, but it does not come naturally to me if it's outside of normal conversation.
So serious looking.
Well, but it's also something that is typical of most of my time. I'm usually thinking about things. We're usually talking about deeper, more meaningful things. And I mean, we have a good time and make jokes that we can't throw up here on Facebook. It's probably most of my humor, if I think about it. So you guys probably won't get much of that. Maybe if you host us, though, you'll get to see some. You'll have to make the first step, though, and let us know that it's okay.
Don't worry. try and make up for it by being extra giggly and goofy looking.
Paige is definitely my counterbalance.
Alright, this is getting to be a bit long. I don't know if anyone's gonna make it this far. Any closing thoughts?
We're pretty intent on reaching a lot of people with this message. But we're only willing to do it in the most genuine way possible, and that's kind of what this whole video is about. So maybe you'll see more of us speaking extemporaneously in the future.
Word of the day.
Oh, gosh. All right. Goodbye for now, everyone.